What is up, guys? Delboy here. So I wanted to make my prediction video for Julius Indongo versus Terence Crawford. This fight is for all of the belts. The winner will become the undisputed super lightweight champion. So big respect for both men for creating history, for becoming the first undisputed champion since I believe Jermaine Taylor when he beat Bernard Hopkins for all of the belts. Jermaine Taylor was the last undisputed champion, and that was at middleweight. I believe that was 2005. I'm pretty sure Jermaine Taylor's the last guy to hold all of the belts, at the same time. So these guys are creating history. So fair play to both of them. They deserve credit, and I'm really looking forward to this fight. Let's have a look at how these guys square up. Firstly, we have Terence Crawford. He is 31-0, with 22 of those 31 fights coming by way of knockout. He currently holds the WBO and WBC super lightweight titles, and Julius Indongo comes into this fight with a record of 22 wins, 0 defeats, 0 draws, 11 of those 22 wins coming by way of stoppage. So you've got two undefeated guys squaring off, and you've got two guys who both hold two belts. If we look at both guys, Terence Crawford is a two-weight world champion, whereas Julius Indongo only holds, he's only a one-weight world champion, and this is only his third world title fight. So Terence Crawford has definitely had more experience at a higher level. Before this fight, he's beat guys like Ricky Burns, who's actually a three-weight world champion. He beat Gamboa, who was still somewhat relevant at the time, He's beat solid guys like Raymond Beltran and Hank Lundy, Felix Diaz, and he beat Victor Postal, in which was a unification fight as well. So overall, I think personally, since Crawford's won the lightweight title back in 2014, I think he's fought a decent level of competition. Some of the times he's not pulled up trees in terms of the level of competition he's fought, but at the same time, he's got 2 or 3 really good wins. I think the Postal win was very good. It was a unification fight against a fellow unbeaten fighter, which he won clearly. He beat Gamboa, he beat Ricky Burns. Crawford is doing more than a lot of boxers are doing right now. So, credit to him. I do feel leading into this fight, he's fought a better competition and has more experience at the higher level, despite him being the younger man. Terence Crawford is, 29 years old, whereas Julius Indongo is 34 years old, but Crawford has had more fights and he's fought at a higher level. So the experience factor, you'd have to say, goes to Terence Crawford. I mean, stylistically it's interesting because, like Victor Postal, Julius Indongo is going to be the bigger man. Terence Crawford is listed as 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. Julius Indongo is listed as 5'10.5" with a 71.5-inch reach, which means Indongo will go in as the taller man with a reach advantage of 1.5 inches. And that'll be an interesting dynamic. We have seen Terence Crawford fight a taller guy in the past. We saw him fight Victor Postal back in 2016. And Victor Postal was actually taller than Julius Indongo. Victor Postal was, I believe, 5'11" with a 73-inch reach. And it never gave Terence Crawford any problems. But there is a difference between Indongo and Victor Postal, in my opinion. To me, Victor Postal, while he has physical attributes in terms of his length and his height, he doesn't have that athletic ability. He doesn't have that awkward style that Julius Indongo will bring. I'm convinced that Julius Indongo is more awkward than Victor Postal. Julius Indongo to me looks quicker than Victor Postal, and I'm relatively certain that Julius Indongo carries more power than Victor Postal. And Julius Indongo, his record doesn't indicate that he's a puncher, but he look at his the fight where he won the title against Troyanowski. He knocked him out cold, and although he didn't knock out Ricky Burns, he hurt Ricky Burns on numerous occasions in that fight. He's hurt Ricky Burns more than most fighters have. And that's worth considering Ricky Burns has never been stopped. I personally feel that Indongo beat Ricky Burns better than anybody, and I appreciate it was a faded version of Ricky Burns. But Julius Indongo definitely brings attributes that Terence has not necessarily seen before. Yes, he's seen the size, he's seen Victor Postal, but he hasn't seen that combined with the awkwardness and the speed and even the power of Julius Indongo. So that's going to be interesting to see how he deals with that. I actually wouldn't be surprised if this fight starts and Julius Indongo is up after 3 rounds or 4 rounds. I wouldn't be surprised to see Julius Indongo winning after 4 rounds on the points, just because obviously Indongo has that awkward style. He's quick, he's rangy, and we've seen in the past where in certain Crawford fights, like for example the Gamboa fight where he was losing after 3 or 4 rounds. You know, Gamboa was too quick, he was too technical, and he was winning the first 3 rounds. You know, it's not out of the realms of possibility that after 3 or 4 rounds, Indongo is winning and he's leading. We also saw that in the Delorme fight. After 3 or 4 rounds, most people had Delorme winning. So it's definitely not out of the realms of possibility that after 3 or 4 rounds, Indongo will be winning. But the question is, even if that is the case, I've seen Terence Crawford adjust. I saw Terence adjust against Yuriorkis Gamboa. After the 3rd round, he switched to the body. He got a little more aggressive. He realised he needed to change something. And he did the same against Thomas Delorme. He did exactly the same. I've seen Terence Crawford adjust game plans mid-fight. So even if that is the case where Indongo is winning after 3 or 4 rounds, you know, we've seen Crawford adjust. So a big question of mine is, if Indongo leads after 3 or 4 and then Crawford turns it around, what is Indongo going to do to regain control of a fight? Because I've not seen Indongo adjust in fights. The reality is, I think most of us have only seen 2 Indongo fights. We saw the fight where he blasted out Troyanowski in 1 round, and we saw him in against Ricky Burns, where he won every round. He never had to adjust. The other guys never put him under pressure. And that is partly due to his credit for not letting them, but if that is the case and Crawford has moments and has success, how does Indongo change that? It's an interesting one. I've seen Crawford adjust. I've not seen that from Indongo. And although he beat Ricky Burns every second of every round, to me he did the same thing every single round. He never really adjusted. He never really changed his game, you know. And he doesn't necessarily have to. He was winning every round, so I'm not saying that necessarily as a criticism, but you know, maybe that's all. Maybe, and just maybe, that's all that's in his locker. That's the only way he can fight. I just feel going into this fight, Indongo is good at what he does. In terms of sort of being in terms of being awkward, he's good at range. He's got that powerful left hand. But if you take that away from him, I'm not sure what's there. Like I said, I've seen Crawford fight on the inside. I've seen Crawford fight on the outside. I've seen Crawford mix it up. I've seen Crawford get knockouts. I've seen Crawford play the boxer. I've seen Crawford fight I've seen Crawford fight different styles. I know he's a versatile fighter. I can't say the same for Julius Indongo. So I just feel that leading into this fight, that Crawford has more experience at this level, and I feel that he's the better adjuster, and he is a better technician as well. So with all those things in play, I personally think Terence Crawford is going to eke this out on points. I wouldn't be surprised to see Crawford win every single round and actually school Julius Indongo. But me personally, I expect like an 8-4 type fight where Indongo starts well, but Crawford works him out, and that's a wrap from there kind of thing. I think Crawford's going to win this fight on points, but yeah, I do see Indongo as a valid opponent and a formidable opponent as well. So credit to both men for taking the fight. Somebody is going to create history, and yeah, I just commend both guys taking this fight. What do you guys think? Peace.